Hey guys, so today you and I are going to talk about starting out with the language. So let's get into it. So the question in question was, Frederick, when you are starting out as a software engineer, is it recommended to choose a programming language with a large community behind it? Yes it is. So this is where it gets a little bit dangerous, which is, I suppose, always the case. The what is it the saying is? Ignorance is bliss. Yes, ignorance is bliss, but it's also very tricky to be ignorant when you don't want to be ignorant anymore and you're gonna make investments with money or time or something like that. Because when you don't know any better, it's very difficult for you to figure out what a good choice is gonna look like. And in software development, that is no exception whatsoever. Just as with anyone who wants to do something, like say if you wanted to start exercising and get fit and you don't really know how to get in shape, for example, if you go and look at the fitness industry, the entire industry is based on the misinformation and being selective with the truth and omitting things and emphasizing certain ways of getting slim and trying to hide the fact that most of it is all based on the same thing, but due to the general ignorance of people, they can bounce you between different approaches and sell you on their approach. And software development is not as horrible as that in terms of choices and promoting choices, but the community is, in a sense, like that. Where if you go on the forums today and you ask which language should I get started with, you will get every possible answer you can imagine, assuming now that enough people care to actually reply to you, because most of them are just themselves googling stuff on Stack Overflow. But that is the issue with picking a language when you're starting out. Which one do you pick? And why that one? And it is very difficult for you to find an answer that is not biased in some way. Everybody's biased in some way, but you should know, as with fitness or martial arts, for example, where if you ask which type of martial arts should I learn in order to defend myself, uh, there are a lot of people who are very passionate about martial arts, and just as with programming. So my suggestion to you is to do the thing that you just said, like a large community behind it. I even go as far as to say that most people who go into software development, if you're aiming to become a professional, go and look at the job postings and go and look at the Stack Overflow report. Not like top 10 languages to learn in something bullshit. The people who post those things don't know what they're talking about. They are injecting, for the most part, their own value system. I can probably tell you what the top 5 something languages are without even checking it out. And that's not because I am trying to promote a specific language. It's based on the actual people that work in the industry and what they usually learn, and what usually, at least in my regions, is used. What are the primary languages of the IT industry? And that's the thing that you're looking for. You're not looking for some blogger's opinion. You're not looking for some company's way of getting some exposure for their digital solutions. You're looking for the actual numbers that people of how many people are using this, what companies are working with that specific stack. And the Stack Overflow reports are usually the thing that you're looking for, because that's actual feedback from actual software developers, what they have been using, and then you cross-reference that list with the job postings in your region. And I can guarantee you, among the top 3 are going to be languages such as JavaScript, Java, and C#. These are going to be the top three. Well, and Python, like there are other options, but like these are most likely going to be the top three in practically every country. Because most of the IT world runs on these sorts of languages. Not exclusively, but they are very, very big and popular languages. And the reason why it's so important for you as a new, fresh software developer to understand that picking something that is mainstream is in many cases a very good thing for you, is because in the start you will need a lot of help. And you will need a lot of learning materials, and you will need a lot of reference materials, etc., etc. So it's good for you to be mainstream. And then you can do the thing that most people do. You start out being really mainstream, perhaps, and then perhaps later you can be one of the cool kids. It's sort of like growing up. You start out doing the boring, obvious things everybody learns, and then when you learn those things, you become a teenager and you're too cool for school. And then you try to challenge the established authority, and you start experimenting with wild languages and functional programming and all of this good stuff. And then after a little while you get old and bitter and middle-aged, and you start to just want things to be simple and streamlined, and then you go and realize that, you know what, Java or C#, these are like the best languages ever. So what I want you to take away from this is that yes, it's a very good idea for a new beginner or for someone who wants to become a software developer to pick a language or a stack that has a large community behind it. Because in the beginning, guys, the focus for you should not be picking the ultimate stack, because there is no such thing. It's just that you're too inexperienced to figure out how to maneuver in the ecosystem. So going with the boring, obvious, popular thing is a very good starting point for you, because now in the beginning the most important thing is it has nothing to do with the stack. That is going to change, I promise you, as you go along. What's important is for you to get those fundamentals, to just get comfortable programming, to get into the flow, if that makes sense. It's sort of like when you teach a kid to walk. The focus is not their style of walking, or like teaching them to dance or something like that. The focus is so that you can is to stand up and move in any direction. That's where you are when you start programming. I promise you that. And that's why I tell people, go on Stack Overflow, go on the reports that actually interviewed actual software developers about what they're using, and then cross-reference that with the languages used in your region. Go to the job postings, because these two are the sources of information. If you compare those two, you can even just, if you wanted to, go and look at the job postings, because that's where people post actual job with specific technologies that they are using, and they're going to pay you to do the work if you can use these sorts of tools. And that is a better receipt for what's actually relevant than any blog article, post, opinion from anybody. That's why if you didn't pay attention, I didn't give you any specific languages to go and study, and I don't think, it's very rare that I do. I can tell you my personal opinions, but I think as a rule it's irresponsible for someone who is a professional software developer to not mention the difference between what they really like as a programming language and the nice benefits with the language that they like sort of favor, and what's actually really, really mainstream. Because when it comes to teaching people to program or getting more software developers into the community, I think it's more important to give people a real honest shot at achieving the goals that they want, rather than pushing your own personal stack on other people. Have a great day.